Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to my super chat. Thank you so very much for tuning in, everybody. And to my super chat, I can't do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. Your support is greatly appreciated via super chat. If you want to talk about the weaponization of the U.S. government, the politicization of the U.S. government by Democrats against conservatives or Republicans or anyone that stands in their way. They investigated Bernie Sanders back in the day. So anyone who gets in their way will be investigated, and it'll be for either national security or it'll just benefit their political side. They'll utilize government in a way that an authoritarian would and then complain about their political rivals being authoritarian. So hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get started. We are going to hear Jim Jordan. So we're going to hear Jim Jordan right now. And this is with a top Twitter official. And this is Mr. Roth, the head of the trust and safety team at Twitter before Elon Musk purchased the company. So what took place, ladies and gentlemen, was that they utilized a pretext. So you had a pretext to go after and silence conservatives. The pretext was, well, you are not abiding by protocol. And we're just working with government agencies, but we're not doing exactly what we're being told. We're just working alongside them, so it's not the First Amendment being broken. But the First Amendment laws are being broken. These government agencies are influencing private corporations to silence political speech. And they're doing so in a nefarious way. They're doing so in a surreptitious manner. And we'll get that in a minute. They're doing so, ladies and gentlemen, because they want to silence political speech. Let's move over here. I'm right next to the subscribe button. The subscribe button was right in front of my face. Anyway, they did break First Amendment laws. They absolutely did break First Amendment laws. The reason, and you had a Democrat who said, "Oh, that's not true," but it is true. They broke First Amendment laws because government was involved. You had the United States government, government agencies, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Democrats, Democratic officials involved in silencing political speech. And that is a First Amendment violation. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Look, the fact that they suspended and censored the New York Post that's everything you need to know, ladies and gentlemen. That's everything you need to know. The equivalent of Trump was never able to. Republicans were never able to silence the New York Times. That never happened. But it did happen with the New York Post. So let's go ahead and get started here. Let's see if, I have a very low tech. My knowledge of software is abysmal, but here, let's go ahead and start this. And all right, let's go ahead. Let me see if I can. Let me know if you can hear this. So when I play this, let me know if you can hear it.
I'm going to tell you that the Biden laptop story was fake.
No, sir, they did not.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Roth, did the government tell you that the Biden laptop story was fake?
No, sir, they did not.
Did they tell you it was hacked?
No, sir, they did not.
On October 14, 2020, Twitter blocks the New York Post story on the Hunter Biden, the New York Post story on Hunter Biden, and suspends their account. The night before, FBI Special Agent Elvis Chan sends you an email. The email says this: heads up, I will be sending a teleporter link for you to download 10 documents. It's not spam. Please confirm receipt when you get it. 2 minutes later, 6:24 p.m., you respond back, received and downloaded, thanks. What were those 10 documents?
So here you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where what Jim Jordan is trying to establish is the following. They're working with the government. The government is, so you could hear, right? Let's just make sure that you could hear everything. So let me know. Could you hear everything all right? Could you hear everything okay? Okay, awesome. Gladys, hello, Gladys. To my members on this channel, thank you. To the super chat, thank you. So, what he's trying to establish, ladies and gentlemen, is a working relationship between government and between, Ozzy, thank you, between government and between Twitter. That is breaking First Amendment laws. The FBI is doing so for a political purpose. They're not doing so by accident. They're not working with Twitter to help Republicans and to help Trump. They're working with Twitter to ensure that Trump is not victorious. Ernie, thank you. So let's continue.
Their account. The night before, FBI Special Agent Elvis Chan sends you an email. The email says this: heads up, I will be sending a teleporter link for you to download 10 documents. It's not spam. Please confirm receipt when you get it. 2 minutes later, 6:24 p.m., you respond back, received and downloaded, thanks. What were those 10 documents?
Twitter didn't give me access to my laptop, but Special Agent Chan has said publicly, and the FBI has confirmed, that those documents did not relate to Hunter Biden, and that's my recollection of them.
What did they relate to?
My interactions with Agent Chan and with the FBI almost entirely focused on what the FBI called malign foreign interference.
Okay, this is a deceitful statement. Interference here is a euphemism for let's protect the Democratic Party from the truth. Let's pretend we're traumatized from the Democratic National Committee emails. Let's make sure that Trump does not get a political victory by the electorate learning of Hunter's laptop. That is the truth. The truth is there's a political, the government was getting involved. The government was giving lifelong liberals on Twitter and left-leaning advocates and activists on Twitter a pretext. They did not, and hit subscribe, by the way, if you're watching for the first time. This was not by accident. This was by design. And you're never going to get, so there were Democrats saying, well, you know, this is only about, the First Amendment is about the government. The First Amendment is about the government. The government was never going to write a letter to Twitter. Dear Twitter, please prevent Trump from benefiting and from Republicans please prevent Republicans and Trump from benefiting by taking advantage of the New York Post reporting on the Hunter laptop, which shows clear violations of the law, felonies, where Hunter is essentially within those emails trading access to the government for money. One email is, how can you use your influence on the company's behalf? And then there's classified data that could have been repackaged according to the New York Post. One of the emails says, how can you use your influence on the company's behalf? The emails were written and received by Hunter and his associates. Joe Biden was a part of it, and Twitter was utilized by government agencies as interference. They're the ones who interfered, not another country, which was all a lie. Let's continue. They did so, ladies and gentlemen, because they did not want Trump to benefit from the political fallout of the New York Post's reporting. That's the story. If the tables were turned, there's no way that any government agency would worry about another country informing you about Trump's corrupt behavior. Okay, and they couldn't find any corrupt behavior with Trump, but there was a mountain of corrupt behavior with Biden and Hunter, and they suppressed that because it hurt Democrats. Let's continue.
Things like Russian troll farms and Iranian involvement in the elections, not on any type of domestic
They need the
activity.
information on their.
When he says that, what he's trying to do is distance himself. The reality is, if you just say, "Oh my God, another country," it's another country, and by the way, the truth about Hunter happens to correlate with what another country might be doing. You see, we're not siding with Democrats. I mean, can't you see we're just trying to help national security? And so that's the issue. That's the issue here. This is all a racket. Okay, this is all a racket, but let's continue.
They're classified?
No, sir, I do not hold a involvement in the elections, not on any type of
They
domestic
need the
activity.
information on their classified?
No, sir, I do not hold a security clearance, and so I would not have received any classified information.
Who does hold a security clearance? I just got a second email here. I'm just curious about this. What I propose is that 30 days out from the election, this is another email to you from Mr. Chan. 30 days, we get temporary clearances. You pick who they are. Who were the people at Twitter who had a security clearance?
To be honest, sir, I'm not sure, and we never ultimately followed through on this plan to get temporary clearances.
Did anyone at Twitter have a security clearance?
It's my understanding that at least some current or former employees did hold clearances, but I wasn't certain about
Ms.
that.
Gaddy, do you know if anyone took up Mr. Chan's offer to hand out security clearances 30 days before the 2020 election?
Not that I'm aware.
So we don't know how many people had security clearances. Twitter, do we know? Mr. Baker, Mr. Gaddy, Ms. Gaddy, anyone know how many people at Twitter had a security clearance in the 30 days prior to the election?
I don't know the answer to that question,
Ms.
sir.
Gaddy?
I do not know.
Why would anyone at Twitter have a security clearance at all? Why would a government agency, we learned from the Twitter files, have any access to suspending or banning Republican or conservative or Trump supporting accounts? That's the definition of the government getting involved. You can defend any bureaucratic protocol. There is not a bureaucratic protocol or guideline or arbitrary rule that you won't be able to defend. Okay? A bureaucracy, one that is utilized by Trump's direct political opponents in this circumstance or this instance, stated, well, we didn't go after Trump or Republicans. All we did was make sure that another country didn't interfere in our pristine democracy. So therefore, we weren't breaking any First Amendment laws. All we were doing was following the guidelines that we created that work against Trump. And the Federal Bureau of Investigation and other government agencies were helping us with guidelines that work against Trump. Okay, so that's what took place. You have government agencies leveling the United States government against the accurate reporting of the New York Post, because the New York Post reported something that would have been devastating politically to Democrats. Okay? In other words, they censored and suppressed accurate, truthful, noble reporting, okay? And they did so because it helped the Democratic Party. And they're defending the indefensible by saying, God, we had nothing against Republicans. All we did was develop rules and guidelines that favor Democrats and then enforce those with the help of government agencies. And of course, that there's no bias there. Okay, this is an absurd racket. But let's get.
Mr. Roth, you don't know?
No, sir.
Well, how about the last one? Ms. Navaroli, do you know?
No.
I mean, it seemed like the offer was to sort of just hand them out like candy. I just wondered who had them. No one knows? Okay. So the FBI didn't tell you that it was fake, didn't tell you that it was hacked. And Mr. Roth, did the story violate your policies?
In my judgment at the time, no, it did not.
Yeah, that's what you said. Said what I would propose, is you said it isn't clearly a violation of our hack materials policy.
So it did not violate any policies. So then why did they suspend the New York Post? This is a rhetorical question. To the 600 plus, finally we get some people. To the 670, 700 plus people. Roth states it did not violate Twitter policies. Okay? It did not violate Twitter policies. Okay? So why did they suspend and ban the New York Post story? Why did every other social media company do the same thing? Because government got involved and government picked a side. And there's not one person called the United States government. There's not like, one individual or one branch that is, we are the United States government and that's it. We speak for the entire government. Okay? You don't need Democratic politicians, which, by the way, you had Democratic politicians influencing Twitter to suppress the story. All you need is an intelligence apparatus saying, hey, that story from the New York Post? It doesn't violate any of your rules, but you better be careful because they could be a plan by another country to interfere and to get people to vote for Trump. Because the truth about Hunter and Joe gets you to vote for Trump. The truth about the Democratic Party gets you to vote for Trump. And the truth about the Democratic Party, interestingly enough, also happens to be a national security risk because other countries are involved. So be careful. All right, so let's continue.
Policy, nor is it clearly a violation of anything else. So I think what a lot of people are wondering is if it didn't violate your policies and they didn't tell you it was fake, didn't tell you it was hacked, why'd you take it down?
The company made a decision that found that it did violate the policy. It wasn't my personal judgment at the time that it did, but the decision was communicated to me by my direct supervisor.
So now you know why. Now you know. I wrote a novel, two novels, Breaking the Devil's Heart and Logic of Demons. And hell is a corporation and a company, and Satan is the CEO within those novels. You can get them on Amazon, a Kindle. But this is doublespeak. This is what George Orwell, defined as doublespeak. It didn't break company guidelines, but we made a decision as a company that it broke guidelines. So there, you can defend anything. Of course, it didn't break guidelines. It was it was the epitome of a truthful story because it was the truth at a time when Americans needed the truth. And all they did, the Washington Post had 20,000 billion trillion lies of Trump. And then when the truth came out about the Democratic Party, Timothy, hello, everybody here, hello. And Eric, hello. When the truth about the Democratic Party came out, And to the new members on this channel, thank you. And to the Super Chat, thank you. When the truth about the Democratic Party came out, okay, it was silenced and suppressed. And these are the people who talk about democracy perishes in darkness. The truth about the Democrat. Yes, government officials got involved to silence and suppress the truth because the government didn't want Trump. You had the United States government, while Trump was president, working against its own president. And that's a problem. That's a huge problem. Chuck Grassley talked about that. Let's see if I can find that today. Find that quote. But let's continue.
Sir, and ultimately, I didn't disagree with it enough to object to.
You know what I think happened, Mr. Roth. I think you guys got played. I think you guys wanted to take it deep down. We saw what the chairman put up, where you said, you know, everyone in the White House is a fascist. I think you guys wanted it to be taken down. I think you meet with these guys every week. We know that's been established in the Twitter files. You had weekly meetings with Mr. Chan in the run-up to the election. They send you all kinds of emails. They send you documents on the super secret James Bond teleporter. You get information on that. I think you guys wanted to take it down. I think you guys got played by the FBI. And that's the scary part.
Yeah, but with all due respect to Congressman Jordan, they didn't get played. They were looking for a pretext, and they were very happy that the FBI gave them a pretext, a reason. They just needed a reason to do something criminal or unethical. Or I should say, maybe it wasn't criminal, but, well, it was against First Amendment laws. So it was against the First Amendment. So maybe it's, you know, these are things that are against the Constitution. They needed they didn't get played. Just like, you know, when the Steele dossier, when FBI officials were utilizing the Steele dossier, they knew it wasn't accurate. They didn't care. They didn't care. They simply wanted a reason. That's all they wanted, is a reason. That is it. They wanted a reason to stop Trump. Their lives are dependent upon stopping Trump. And Jim Jordan is the man. He's awesome. But I just respectfully disagree. I mean, he was being gracious there, generous. They didn't get played. They did not get played at all. Okay, Twitter officials were very smart. They had power, and they knew how to use their power in terms of bureaucracy and in terms of leveling a bureaucracy against their political opponents. They had political bias. They despised Trump. Every single person on that panel despises Trump. Every single person at Twitter despised Trump. His story, government gangsters, that's right. His story, thank you. That's right. They are. They are. Thank you. His story, thank you. Tough it out, thank you. To my super chat, thank you so much. History, thank you. Tough it out, thank you. His story, thank you. Tough it out, greatly appreciate. To my super chat, thank you so very, very much. They didn't want Trump to win, and they did everything they could to stop, and it worked. And it worked. And the only thing that Republicans should do is they should synthesize, or, like, you know, have a pamphlet or a booklet or a publication, or you have those emails that show clear violations of the law. The New York Post has those emails published, the Daily Mail, the Federalist, other publications. Go ahead and specifically ask Democrats who are the AOC, what does this email mean, AOC? How can you use your influence on the company's behalf? What does that mean to you, AOC? What does that mean to you, Congresswoman Cortez? What does that mean? 10% for the big man. What does that mean to you? As AOC has corporations and PACs with money transfers. So, let's continue.
Because we had 50, I mean, this to me is the real takeaway. 51 former intelligence officials 5 days after you guys take down the Hunter Biden story and block the New York Post account. 5 days later, 51 former intel officials send a letter and they say, the Hunter Biden story has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. The information operation was run on you guys, and then by extension, run on the American people. And that's the concern. And to Mr. Raskin's point that you guys aren't bound by the First Amendment because you're a private company, okay, maybe so, but your terms of service don't have to comply with the First Amendment. Would that be right, Mr. Roth? They don't have to. You've said that as much in your testimony.
My understanding of the First Amendment is that it protects people and businesses from government, not
Understand.
informs how.
That is exactly what took place. The government is not going to write a letter saying you must stop this, or you know, the United States government is not going to pass a law within a day saying, oh, Congress is not going to pass a law that you can't read Hunter's emails published in the New York Post. That's not the way politics works. So Mr. Roth and others and Democrats they're obfuscating deliberately. They're being very deceptive in their claims. Well, you know, there wasn't a law passed in Congress. Well, of course there wasn't. What do you expect? You expect there to be a law? You expect Congress to have passed a law saying you couldn't read Hunter's laptop? That's not the way they do things. They have the FBI officials working with Twitter, silencing accounts, saying that, oh, you better be careful. It could be another country that wants you to know about Democrats, thus helping Trump. That's how the government gets involved. Exactly. So let's continue.
What I'm in your term of service. So here's what I want to know. Here's what I want to know. Is this a violation of the First Amendment when the government, Mr. Chan, again, sending you an email saying, we think these accounts need to be looked at because they violate your terms of service? That's a different standard. So you got the government saying your terms of service, which don't have to comply with the First Amendment, but the government saying we don't think these accounts comply with your terms of service, please take them down. You see a problem there, Mr. Roth?
Mr. Chairman, I'm seeing a flashing red light. I'm happy to answer the question. Do I think that that's a valuable use of the FBI's time? No, but I don't see in a request for review a problem under the First Amendment, no.
He doesn't see a problem under the First Amendment because it wasn't an expose about Trump. Okay, so the issue here is that
Take control of your moving experience with.
Sorry. The issue here is I can't stand this. The issue here is that this was government. This was government that was being utilized against a direct political rival. And he doesn't see a problem because it helped Democrats. And all they're doing is they're saying, well, we think this wink, wink, nudge, nudge, this violates your terms of service. So that's the issue. Let's go ahead and start let's go. Let's look at some other ones. Okay, hold on one sec.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Roth, was there ever any visibility filtering that was hard-coded by Twitter employees into accounts of specific users?
Twitter employees were responsible for building the systems that performed visibility filtering, and then that filtering would have been applied either automatically.
I'm asking a very specific question. I'm asking, was the code written in a way that for certain accounts, those accounts, unique in and of themselves, would be visibility filtering, to use your term, so that they wouldn't have as much reach or as much influence?
The term hard coding suggests that it was permanent and immutable, and I wouldn't agree with that, no.
But it did happen, is what you're saying. There was hard-coded into some of these accounts of specific users by Twitter employees, this ability to filter and limit the reach of that particular post, or that particular tweet, I should say.
Again, I wouldn't say that they were hard coded.
And so that's the issue here. I mean, you're getting into semantics now, and it's like they they did silence and shadow ban people based on politics. It was an echo chamber of the Democratic Party. The government got involved, and they would never allow this to be done to Democrats. They would never ever allow it to be done to Democrats, but it was. It was done to Republicans and Trump. So let's go ahead and let's check out something else.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Baker, Mr. Roth earlier said he thought it was a waste of time for the FBI to be sending you accounts that they thought violated Twitter's terms of services and Twitter's policy. I was just curious, did you ever tell Twitter executives or FBI acquaintances that the FBI had no legitimate interest in enforcement of Twitter's policy?
Sir, I'm going to give you the same answer I gave before. I think the advice that I was giving internally to folks would be covered by the attorney-client privilege, and as
Let me
Yes, sir.
stop. Mr. Baker, although you're testified today by subpoena, you nonetheless have raised the attorney-client privilege to avoid answering this committee's question. Congress does not recognize the common law attorney-client privilege. With that, I'm going to allow Mr. Jordan to ask the question again.
Well, there's been two questions I've asked that he's refused to answer. So let me, if I could, Mr. Chairman, I'll ask both again. I'll go back to the one asked a couple minutes ago.
Love Trucks, thank you. To my super chat, thank you. So James Baker was part of the Durham probe investigations. He was under criminal investigation for a moment years back, and he was the one who stated that Shushman lied to him. And then, of course, the jury was not given the text message that that proved that he was lying. So that of course took place. But let's continue.
Top of page 2 of your testimony, you said, quote, "I did not destroy or improperly suppress any documents at Twitter regarding information important to the public dialogue." I would like to know what you're referring to that you, in your mind, properly suppressed, and when that took place, specifically if it took place during the time that the Twitter files were first being released just a few months ago.
Well, again, sir, as I think we've notified the committee and we've had these conversations with Twitter as well to try to resolve this issue prior to coming up here today, I don't have anything in writing that clears me in my ethical responsibilities to my former client with respect to answering questions that I think fall squarely within the attorney-client privilege. So unfortunately, I don't think I can go beyond what I've said there already.
So they get this attorney, and he was forced out of the bureau for unethical behavior, going after Trump, utilizing a dossier that was completely fabricated and purchased by Clinton and Democrats. They even paid an FEC violation. Then he's part of the Durham probe, stating that he was duped by Michael Sussman, who was paid by Clinton. I mean, these are political operatives. Then he's talking about ethical concerns. Oh, my ethical concerns. Like, well, everybody knows that essentially these people are political operatives. They are desperate to take down Trump, to stop Trump, to prop up one political system, and they were successful because most of the things they did were above board. Most of the things that these officials did were legal. That's the issue here. Most of the things that these officials did were legal. Okay? That is, you know, that's what's so bizarre about all of this. Okay, so let's continue. Let's go ahead. Let's see.
Jordan.
I thank the gentleman. Mr. Roth, I want to go back to your statement in your declaration to the FEC. I learned that a hack and leak operation would involve Hunter Biden. Who did you learn that from?
My recollection is it was mentioned by another technology company in one of our joint meetings, but I don't recall specifically whom.
You don't know the person's name?
I don't even recall what company they worked at. No, this was a long time ago.
And you're confident that it was from a tech company, not from someone from the government?
To the best of my recollection, yes.
Did anyone from the government in these periodic meetings you have, did they ever tell you that a hack and leak operation involving Hunter Biden was coming?
No,
Did
not,
Hunter Biden's name come up at all in these meetings?
yes, his name was raised in those meetings, but not by the government, to the best of my recollection.
Okay. Mr. Baker, I want to go back to the question we had a few hours ago. But I want to frame it in a way I think you can answer. Answer, did you ever tell the FBI that they had no legitimate interest in enforcement of Twitter's policies?
I don't think I understand. I think I understand the question. I don't recall ever having such a conversation with the FBI.
Okay, did you think there was a problem with the FBI sending you a list of names and accounts and saying, hey, these violate your policies? Did you see that as as some kind of potential concern?
I was always concerned that the FBI adhered to the Constitution and laws of the United States, period.
And you didn't think that crossed the line?
Well, what crossed the line, sir?
What I just asked you, that the idea that they're sending you a list of accounts that they say these violate your terms of service.
Again, I'm making sure that I can answer the question. Had I thought that they were doing something unlawful, I would have taken appropriate steps to address it.
Okay, Mr. Roth, why were you reluctant, based on what I read in the Twitter files, why were you?
Alan Harkin, thank you. Thank you, Alan. Thank you. Alan Harkin, I'm proud of the job these patriotic members are doing thus far. So rarely impressed anymore, so this is good for sure. President Goodman, you are the other good thing for many of us too. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Alan. Alan Harker, thank you so very, Harkin, thank you so very, very much, Alan. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you so much, Alan Harkin. Thank you. Greatly appreciated, sir, as always. This is what's taking place, and I think that Jim Jordan is doing a very, very good job. But the problem is that, and Alan, thank you so very much to my super chat. I cannot do this without you. And if you're new to this channel, please hit subscribe. Every day, 8 a.m. and 11 a.m., I will have videos on this channel. I might start doing 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. We'll see. I think I might start doing a 9 and a 12. I think that might be a little bit better. I'm not sure. But so tomorrow I might do a 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. So, but anyway, what's taking place is that the treachery is normal to these bureaucrats and attorneys and tech people, and it's normal because they just hide behind bureaucracy. So they're not going to admit bias. These are the people, by the way, who routinely try to destroy others and then complain about Trump. So thankfully, Jim Jordan had only facts. He had a million different examples of bias and treachery, and he showed it to them, all factual, and they said it was normal. Oh, that's just protocol. I mean, that's just how we do things. Like, well, you're never going to admit that. The issue here is that I think what he should have done is he should have stated, look, the U.S. government was working to silence a story that was beneficial to Trump and detrimental to Democrats because it showed the truth. That's the key here. The truth about Hunter makes you vote Trump. And that's what they were afraid of. That's what they were afraid of. They were afraid of the truth getting people to vote for Trump. So, let's continue here.
Be reluctant to work with the GEC.
It was my understanding that the GEC, or the Global Engagement Center of the State Department, had previously engaged in at least what some would consider offensive influence operations. Not that they were offensive as in bad, but offensive as in they targeted entities outside of the United States. And on that basis, I felt that it would be inappropriate for Twitter to engage with a part of the State Department that was engaged in active statecraft. We were dedicated to rooting out malign foreign interference, no matter who it came from. And if we found that the
This is not true. The Steele dossier was interference from another country. He's not telling the truth here. The Steele dossier was the definition of interference. And Alan, thank you again to my super chat. Thank you. The Steele dossier was the definition of interference from a foreign country. That is exactly what it was. It was a former MI6 agent, yes, an ally, but compiled with people who worked at the Kremlin, purchased by Clinton and the Democratic Party, and it was never suspended by Twitter. So and that's the issue. That's the issue. The issue is hypocrisy. He's saying, well, I don't care where. If there's interference from any country, that's bad. No, the reality is they don't care about interference that helps.
American government was engaged in malign foreign interference, we'd be addressing that as well.
The government was. It was interfering in 2 years ago. And we all know that. You can't hide behind bureaucracy and then just, say, well, that's just the way things are. Then they get into this nonsense like you'll have Eric Swallow, will you denounce your tweet praising Kanye? It's like, that happened before the meltdown by Kanye, and then that has nothing to do with the New York Post being censored. So there's like a complete lack of basic logical reasoning skills. Like, oh, well, you wanted to take down a tweet. That's just like the censorship of the New York Post. Like, no, it's not. No, it is not. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do. One is an actual First Amendment issue. The other is, okay, Trump wanted to take down a tweet. Big deal. And I don't think it was taken down. I'm not sure if it was or it wasn't, but it really doesn't matter. One is about a true story. So hold on one second. Okay. All right, so this is the full hearing. Let's see if I can get to a good part of this.
Appreciate also your generosity. I just want to start off right here at the top here. This isn't even my line of questioning, but I'd like to submit to the record a Washington Post article now warning about Hunter Biden laptop disinformation, the guy who leaked it. Here's the deal. Before I even get into my questions, I think that the story here with the Washington Post reporting is that what they're saying right here, when the New York Post first reported in October 2020 that it had obtained contents of a laptop computer allegedly owned by Joe Biden's son Hunter, there was an immediate roadblock faced by other news outlets that hoped to corroborate reporting as
Wrong. The AOC, like they say, tells on herself right here. The Steele dossier was completely unverified. BuzzFeed literally put that word and published it anyway, and Twitter had no problem with it. So AOC is yet again wrong. And so her argument is, well, they didn't know it was true. John Radcliffe also refutes AOC and the Washington Post's reporting. The reality is, when BuzzFeed published the Steele dossier, they said, well, let people decide. They didn't give that luxury to the New York Post because it hurt Democrats and it benefited Trump, because the truth about the Democratic Party benefits Trump. Let's continue.
As many did. The newspaper wasn't sharing what it obtained. New York Post had this alleged information and was trying to publish it without any corroboration, without any backup information. They were trying to publish it to Twitter. Twitter did not let them.
That routinely happens with Trump all the time, and then there's a sheepish retraction. So that never, like, if you had to corroborate every single story about Trump from an anonymous source, you would never have had any reporting of Trump for 4 years. Okay, so every story about Trump, almost every single story, had to do with an anonymous source. There was even an anonymous individual who wrote an op-ed in the New York Times stating that he was part of the resistance. We had no clue who this person was. That person was kept anonymous for years. So AOC is stating, oh, well, it had to be proven before it being reported. Nothing was proven about Trump, from the Steele dossier to reports about him not paying taxes. Nothing was proven. It was all allegation, all accusation, and all innuendo. Here we had people. First of all, it was, number one, John Radcliffe, the director of national intelligence, stated categorically it wasn't a foreign operation. It wasn't obtained by hacking. Well, let's continue. We'll just eviscerate everything that's said here.
And now they were upset. I believe that political operatives who sought to inject explosive disinformation with the Washington Post couldn't get away with it. And now they're livid. And they want the ability to do it again.
So, number one, it was true. The reporting was accurate. Hunter's own attorneys, Hunter Biden's own attorneys, stated categorically in a motion the other day that it is indeed his laptop. That's why they're going after. That's why they're going after the laptop repairman and Giuliani and others, because they're saying, "Oh my God, you had no right to take his laptop." So the reporting was accurate, and even the New York Times has stated that it's accurate. So AOC is a little late to the party, as usual. It's actually truthful information, not dis or misinformation. And we know this because it hurts the Democratic Party, and she's there to protect the Democratic Party and to funnel left-leaning votes. Okay? I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. And I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. AOC what was business or econ. She has a major in econ. She should probably brush up on history and learn about the McCarthy era, Red Scare, McCarthy era, where we blamed Russia for everything, which is exactly what AOC and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren did when they cheated Bernie Sanders in the Democratic primary. And this is a person who wouldn't even vote AOC for Medicare for all or single-payer health care. Her Green New Deal resolution wasn't legislation. Gee, why wasn't it legislation? Anyway, we can go on forever. And she has campaign finance violations potential between PACs and corporations. And two people, let's just say very well-known media personalities with pretty big channels were a part of all of that fiasco with the PACs and the corporations. Anyway, let's continue.
Want the ability to inject this again. So they've dragged a social media platform here in Congress. They're weaponizing the use of this committee so that they can do it again. A whole hearing about a 24-hour hiccup in a right-wing political operation. That is why we are here right now. And it's just an abuse of public resources. And
this is a person who blamed Trump for everything bad that ever happened that had nothing to do with him. It was all his fault. It was January was his fault, and everything was his fault, and he worked with the Kremlin. And this is a person who never once questioned the Democratic Party's apoplectic and media's apoplectic obsession with Trump, accusing him of everything under the sun, things that weren't true, a dossier that was literally purchased by Clinton, reporting that was always published before it was verified against Trump. And now she's just falling back on emotion. Okay, you have no facts or argument, or you have no basis for, being livid or indignant, and you're saying that Republicans are livid. Yeah, they were kicked off of Twitter, and the New York Post was suspended. When was the last time? Somebody should ask AOC when the last time the New York Times was suspended. How did they get access to Trump's tax returns? Angela, thank you. Lined up. Pony Soldier, thank you. Having large eyeglasses, reading makes... Angela, thank you. Pony Soldier, thank you so much. Let's continue.
Abuse of public time. We could be talking about healthcare. We could be talking about bringing down the cost of prescription drugs. We could be talking about abortion rights, civil rights, voting rights.
Why didn't you talk about those things when you were obsessing over Trump? Democrats, all they did was obsess over Trump, impeach him twice, knowing that he wasn't going to be removed, but wouldn't vote for Medicare for all. And then the rebuttal was, gee, it's not politically savvy or feasible. It's like, what? You knew Trump wouldn't have been removed. And we had record low poverty under Trump in 2019. We had record low poverty. What is there not to like about that? We had household median incomes at record highs. We didn't have the inflation we have now. The economy was much better under Trump. And this is a person who will pontificate and preach and give these sermons. It's like, the economy was much better. Angela, thank you. So, Pony Soldier, thank you. To my super chat, thank you so very, very, very much. I can't do this without you, everybody.
Rights, but instead we're talking about Hunter Biden's half-fake laptop story. I mean, this is an embarrassment, but I'll go into it. Ms. Navaroli, let's talk about something real.
Half fake? It was literally true. Even the New York Post, the New York Times has admitted it is true. It was a true story that was suspect. By the way, does AOC know they cheated Bernie Sanders 2 primaries in a row? Does she even care? Probably not. Probably not, but anyway.
I'd like to show you a tweet posted by former President Trump about my colleagues and I on July 14th, 2019. It says in part, quote, "Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Then come back and show us how it's done. These places need your help badly. You can't leave fast enough. I'm sure that Nancy Pelosi would be very happy as quickly to work out free travel arrangements." A day or two after that, Donald Trump publicly incited,
What does this have to do with suspending the New York Post? What does this have to do with suspending and silencing and censoring a true story about Hunter Biden and possible graft and bribery schemes? What on earth does this have to do? Trump mean. Hunter Biden didn't sell the U.S. and Joe Biden didn't sell out the country because Trump mean. Trump mean. Okay.
Violence at a rally, targeting 4 congresswomen, including myself, saying, go back to where you came from.
He absolutely did not tell anyone to do anything. And if you want to talk about political violence, there's 2 New Jersey Republicans whose lives were taken, who were struck down by individuals almost certainly influenced by the media coverage against Republicans. But let's continue.
Ms. Navaroli, as I understand it, you were the most senior member of Twitter's content moderation team, or a senior member of Twitter's content moderation team when this was posted. As part of your responsibilities,
notice the acting here is the routine here is I'm going to be so passionate that even if I don't make sense, it'll still be passionate. That's how Democrats usually present their viewpoints, especially AOC. But let's continue.
did you review this tweet?
Yes, it was my team's responsibility to review these tweets.
And what did you conclude?
What does this have to do with Twitter suppressing and silencing the New York Post because the reporting was accurate and would have swung people to Trump? Because the truth about Hunter and Joe and their laptop and business deals, what on earth does Trump being mean have to do with that? So it's always like this is the epitome of whataboutism, but whataboutism is okay if you're pointing out hypocrisy. But this is a completely different story. Trump is mean and he was on Twitter. So what? So what? Angela! She gave a good idea. Mate and Dora, and it should be exactly. Trump is gone for years and it's still in her head. Exactly. Exactly. I have a great deal of respect for both of them. Angela Goodwin, thank you. Thank you, Angela. Thank you. Thank you so much, Angela, always. To my super chat, thank you. Alan, everybody here, thank you. All right, let's continue.
My team, Wray, made the recommendation that for the first time, we find Donald Trump in violation of Twitter's policies and use the public interest interstitial.
For the first time.
Yes.
And at the time, Twitter's policy included a specific example when it came to banned abuse against immigrants, as they specifically included the phrase, go back to your country or go back to where you came from.
What on earth does this have to do with silencing the New York Post? What on earth does this have to do? Does it have anything to do at all with silencing the New York Post because Joe Biden might have committed felonies along with Hunter? Does it have anything to do other than Trump is mean and we need these policies to protect the world from Trump's mean words? Okay, these are the sensibilities of the far left infused within social media. But here, let's just continue.
I invested in Invesco.
Oh, jeez. All right, we'll start. We'll get to Lauren.
FBI was constant and pervasive, as if it were a subsidiary. Now, I want to better understand why he would suggest that. Mr. Roth, while at Twitter, how many meetings did you have with the FBI?
Humbledo, thank you so much. His story. You need to have a. Thank you, call to the love your friend. Thank you, his story. Thank you, his story. God bless you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. His story. Thank you, Humbledo. His story. Thank you so very, very much, Humbledo. Thank you again. Angie, hello. I love Bobert also. I love how Bobert makes these are like people in detention. It's like The Breakfast Club, the movie The Breakfast Club. They're all in detention now. Thank you, Humbledo. Thank you. His story. Thank you.
I couldn't say for sure, but I would
More
say
than 10?
That's a
More than
reasonable
20?
estimate. I couldn't say for sure.
More than 50?
That seems a bit high.
Many meetings with the FBI. Well, we know how many FBI agents worked at Twitter while you were there?
I don't believe any active FBI agents.
Former FBI agents. How many worked there while you were there?
I'm aware of perhaps 2.
Well, we know of at least 9 because they started the BU group chat, BU for Bureau. Now, Mr. Roth, did the FBI ever ask you to share information like users' communication data without going through proper legal channels?
No, they did not, and I would have refused if they had.
That's correct. I see that you denied Agent Chan's request for access to Twitter's data feed. What's sick isn't that you would deny it, it's that the FBI would even ask you for the private data of American citizens without going through legal channels of the law. Now, I want to remind you, Mr. Roth, that you are under oath. Did the FBI ever ask you to do anything that was illegal or questionably legal?
I'm not a lawyer, but certainly not to the best of my recollection or knowledge.
Now, from the hearing that I've been a part of today, it's almost impossible to tell where the FBI ends and where Twitter begins. We have Mr. Baker here, a former FBI agent, and there seems to be a revolving door between the FBI and Twitter itself. Even Mr. Baker said that there was no collusion with the federal government and Twitter, but Mr. Baker, that's you. You are the collusion between the federal government and the FBI. And now with it,
So this is actually quite good. It's actually good because she called out the former Bureau legal counsel. It's actually a good thing. She's actually doing, she's doing pretty good. Angela, thank you. The people who support her buy spot for snake toothpaste for birds. She will wonder. I wonder. Are you talking about AOC? Toothpaste for birds. Foot spas for snakes. Thank you, Angela. Thank you. All right.
this is such a problem because we're seeing censorship all over. Mr. Roth, Ms. Gaddy, did either of you approve the shadow banning of my account at Lauren Boebert? Yes or no?
No, I did not.
Not to the best of my recollection.
Well, let me refresh your memory because on March 12th, 2021, and Mr. Roth, I know you looked at it because Fascist Twitter 1.0 had a public interest exceptions policy, which means for members of Congress to be shadow banned, it had to go before you, Mr. Roth. So I'll ask again, did you shadow ban my account? Yes or no?
Again, not to the best of my recollection.
So the answer is, Mr. Roth, yes, you did. I found out last night from Twitter staff that you suppressed my account for this tweet. It's a freaking joke.
about Hillary Clinton being angry that she couldn't rig her election. It's a
So I know what she's gonna say, and the algorithm is not gonna be good. So she basically said she's good. She basically said, "Hey, wait, you can question, but we can't question, but you can question, no problem." So that was actually a good thing. So she did well. So she did pretty well. So let's you know what? Let's see.
and pervasive as if it were a subsidiary. Now, I want to better understand why he would suggest that. Mr. Roth, while at Twitter, because of your actions, because of your collusion with the federal government, they can't reach out to Elon. They can't sit here today and hold you into account. We don't know where the FBI ends and Twitter begins. But I do want to thank
Mr. Chairman,
Elon
we're
Musk
over
for
17
firing
seconds.
you for and saving free speech and even Twitter. Mr. Chairman, I yield. Silenced. I can reach out to Elon and to his staff, and I can see what's happened. And I can sit here today and hold you all in account. I am angry for the millions of Americans who were silenced because of your decisions, because of your actions, because of your collusion with the federal government. They can't reach out to Elon. They can't sit here today and hold you into account. We don't know where the FBI ends and Twitter begins. But I do want to thank
Mr.
Elon
Chairman, we're
Musk
over
for
17
firing.
seconds.
For here today. We've heard about threats to democracy. Well, what about shutting down a duly elected member of Congress? This is fundamental to our nation's governance, and you all attacked that very foundation. 230 protections? Well, those. And Mr. Chairman, I think it's far past time that we remove two. I'm not angry for myself. I'm not angry because I was silenced. I can reach out to Elon and to his staff, and I can see what's happened. And I can sit here today and hold you all in account. I am angry for the millions of Americans who were silenced because of your decisions, because of your actions, because of your collusion with the federal government. They can't reach out to Elon. They can't sit here today and hold you into account. We don't know where the FBI ends and Twitter begins. But I do want to thank
Mr.
Elon
Chairman, we're
Musk
over
for
17
firing
seconds now.
you for and saving free speech and even Twitter. Mr. Chairman, I yield.
Yeah. Angela. To Wishbot, thank you. So poor of his covers, you can call him and clean up the hybrids. Thank you. Yes, to Wishbot was great. Thank you so very much. Purim is coming. I remember dressing up like a pirate when I was little for Purim. Angela, dressing up like a little pirate. Angela, thank you so very much. You are wonderful, Angela. Toda rabah. You are wonderful. Thank you so much, Angela. Thank you. To my super chat, thank you. I can't do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very, very much. You know, I think that this should really show people that, and Angela, thank you. Alan, thank you. Everybody here, thank you. His story, thank you. Everybody here, thank you so very, very much. They were successful in what they did, people. They were successful in what they did. Damien, thank you. They were successful in silencing the truth. Okay? And now things are taking place. And when they say nothing's ever going to happen, well, it's happening. It's happening. And be here tomorrow, 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. Actually, I might do, you know what? Let me ask you this. Play to win 1958. Thank you. Play to win 1958. Thank you so very, very much. That's an awesome, awesome name. Play to win 1958. Thank you so very, very much. Let me ask you this question. What do you think? Are 9 a.m. and let me ask you this question, everybody. Play to win 1958. Thank you so much. Is 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. better than 8 a.m. and 11 a.m.? What do you think? Because I might just go ahead and do, because 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. hasn't been working. The other times, Alan, are 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. So is 9 and 12 p.m. better? You think 9 and 12 p.m. are better? I guess you're right. There's really, I agree with you. It probably isn't that much of a difference. All right, everybody. Thank you so very Alan, Angela. His story, Play to Win 1958. Everybody here, thank you. Rob White. I didn't see that. Rob, thank you. Exactly. Where is the legislation? Angela, thank you. Did you folks realize the disaster? That's right. Wow, that is interesting. I didn't realize that. Angela, I did not realize that. Angela, thank you so very much. I didn't realize that. Rob White, I didn't see your super chat. I apologize. Thank you. His story, Tough It Out, Love Trucks, Alan Harkin, Pony Soldier, Angela, you are absolutely wonderful. Rob White, Humbledo. Everybody here, Play to Win 1950. Play to Win 1958. Thanks, everybody. God bless you all. Finally, we got a super chat with a lot of people, and it was beautiful. We had, almost 700 people here. Thanks so very much, everybody. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Be here at 9 a.m. Pacific time for the video, and it'll be 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. Thanks, everybody. God bless. See you tomorrow. Thank